Hello. Hello, our dear speakers, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, our dear participants. Good evening. It's so good to have you here. Welcome to the Global Women's Virtual Fashion Forum and Show, which is organized, of course, by Medpoint Design and the Nine Training Center. Before we start, we would like to thank our sponsors and let us all watch those videos, please. And then we're going to come back to our forum.
Sarah, I believe you have to unmute yourself so people can hear the video. Or the admin, whoever is the admin.
Yes, I was unmuted. Now I muted myself so we can watch the videos, Sheikh Noura.
I believe the admin should unmute themselves. Who's the admin? Hussein, you need to unmute yourself. Whoever is playing the video need to unmute themselves.
Because we can't hear the video.
Patience, guys, patience.
So, ladies and gentlemen, those were our sponsors' video. I'd like to welcome you once again, our dear viewers, to the third night of this fashion forum and show. And of course, this forum is a great platform that will highlight every topic that relates to women's development in various sectors, but especially entrepreneurship, fashion, and design, and aims to motivate you to develop your abilities and skills through a group of experts and international speakers of great repute who will provide you an opportunity for improvement and growth, along with stepping to the next level to enhance your inner creativity that will support you in all fields. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend our thanks and appreciation to all our sponsors once again. Of course, our platinum sponsors, Evo Motorsports, Lulu Hypermarket, and Grazia Magazines, and our gold sponsors, Jumeirah Royal Sarai, Mega Mart and Macromart, and our silver sponsor, Centerpoint. Now, once we thanked our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, before I present to you what we have lined up for you today, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sarah Bulfet, and I am a newsreader on Bahrain International Television Channel and Radio Bahrain. Also MC and host a lot of events and shows. And today's agenda, first thing we're going to start with Ms. Gopika Berry, the Managing Director of the Nain Training Center Bahrain, for her welcome. Ms. Gopika, over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Distinguished Excellencies, valued sponsors, esteemed speakers, and our wonderful guests. Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening to one and all. It is our great pleasure to host you on this glorious global Women's Virtual Fashion Forum and Show for the third evening in a row. This unique forum runs for 8 days from the 12th of July to the 19th of July for the first time in the region on this fantastic scope and variety. As we had a wonderful session yesterday entitled Women's Personal Contribution in the Sector, tonight we are extremely honored to bring you unique and fruitful insights on education and the role of universities in art, design, and fashion. While the Nain Training Center is proud to co-organize, led by the highly dynamic Sheikha Noura, and I would like to extend as elite speakers who, with their immense support and cooperation, have made this event possible. And a very huge thanks to our extremely valued platinum, gold, and silver sponsors. Distinguished guests, we encourage you to enjoy tonight's forum and fashion show and the coming 5 days events, which have an extremely unique agenda, inspiring speakers, fashion shows, and much, much more. Welcome to all our distinguished guests. We sincerely hope you enjoy and benefit from this glorious event. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gopika Berry, for this very warm welcome. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to explain to you the way of handling Q&A sessions, which is going to be at the end of our session. So you have 3 ways to interact with our speakers. You can raise your hand for a verbal question. So if you click the right click and press on raise your hand, we're gonna, of course, when we have time, we're going to answer that question and hear your question. The other way is for a written question, which you can write in the Q&A box at the bottom. So once you click on that, you can write your question, and then we can, of course, either take it right away or wait at the end of the session. You can raise your hand or write your question anytime during this session. And the last way is to interact with the chat box. But of course, for me and for the ease of this panel, I'd rather if you can write your questions in the Q&A box so that we can see the question and we can decide if we can answer it now or wait till later, and so that all our efforts are segregated in one place, are focused in one place. So ladies and gentlemen, now that we've discussed the way to interact, I would like to introduce our speakers for the panel. Of course, as Ms. Gopika Berry explained, today's panel talks about the power of education in empowering women in the fields of fashion, art, and design. And today our panelists are Her Excellency Dr. Sheikha Haifa bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa, Chairwoman of the Department of Architecture and Interior Design of the College of Engineering, University of Bahrain, and Professor Alessandro Bron, Associate Professor at the School of Management of Politecnico di Milano, and is also a public figure, and we're going to talk about that later. He's from Italy. Dr. Mona Suri, Academic Vice President of the Royal University of Women, Associate Professor in Fashion Design, College Bahrain. And last but not least, Ms. Dayon Ahan Morato, founder and CEO of Zori's Only. And she's from Guam, USA. And of course, we're going to discuss her brand also by the end of this session. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we are going to start. And as we mentioned, that today's session is about empowering women in the fields of how to educate them, to inspire them into those fields. And I would like to start with Dr. Muna Suri. Hello, Dr. Muna. It's
Hello,
so good to
hi.
be here.
Same here, pleasure. Thank you. Thank you very
Of
much,
course,
Miss. Yes.
Sure,
Thank you very much, Miss Sarah.
Yeah,
Thank you
technology.
very much. Yes, thank you so much. Shukran. Thank you. A very warm good evening to all of you. First of all, before I start, I would like to thank Her Excellency Sheikha Noura Al Khalifa for giving me this opportunity to be part of this Global Women Virtual Fashion Forum, where so many achievers have shared their experiences and words of wisdom with all of us. I would like to congratulate Her Excellency Sheikha Noura Al Khalifa and the entire team of Medpoint in organizing this very informative and rich virtual forum in Kingdom of Bahrain. Thank you all for letting the world know that COVID or no COVID, the show must go on. So my heartiest congratulations. I have been attending the last 2 days and believe me, it was a very, very nice and happy experience that I had, especially in this situation when everything otherwise is a little low. I think it just pepped up the whole thing. Especially the session that we had yesterday, I think it was just amazing, with the women of substance talking about what they have been doing. So I think it was truly inspirational for all of us and also for the younger generation as to what they have role models in Bahrain and in the region in general, Yani. So thank you very much. As Ms. Sara has introduced, I'm Muna Suri. I'm the Academic Vice President at Royal University for Women. Royal University for Women is the only international university for women in Bahrain, which is dedicated to women education and empowerment. I have been there for the last 12 years, so almost more than a quarter of my life. But I don't want everybody to calculate my age based on that. But just to give you an idea that Bahrain has been a second home to me. So 12 years is a huge time, for anyone to stay in another country. So the fact that Bahrain has embraced us in such a wonderful way, we feel part of it. So thank you very much. Today, I'm going to talk about 2 aspects of fashion education. Number one, I'll talk about how fashion education has actually changed over a period of time, because I think it has a huge implication in terms of what we are doing as universities. And also I'm going to talk about RUW, Royal University for Women, and Bahrain as to how we are working towards it. Are we geared to do that, and what else is required? Now, fashion design is the starting point of fashion education. Traditionally, we realize that anyone with a creative bent of mind, with an innovative instinct, somebody who was ready to experiment, somebody who was innovative in a way, took up any design discipline in general as their field of studies or as their profession. And fashion design, of course, became part of it. Over a period of time, fashion design has become actually a small part of the wider fashion industry, because all other aspects have been added to design, which makes it very, very a bigger plethora of things as we see them. Yes. So I'm just going to highlight some of these features or some of these aspects that is making our fashion industry such a huge industry, and why we need to discuss this at this forum, Yani.
Yes, Dr. Muna, my apologies for interrupting you. I know that you have also a presentation to share with us. Yes. But actually, I would like to first introduce Dr. Sheikha Haifa Al Khalifa.
Sure.
And ask her a couple of questions before going back
sure.
to...
Perfect. My pleasure. No worries.
Thank you very much. Dr. Sheikha Haifa, thank you very much for being here with us. I'd like to welcome you here to our panel.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Sarah, and thank you all for the participants and for Her Excellency Sheikha Noura to provide us with this opportunity to share our knowledge as educators in the field of design, whether it is interior design, fashion design, or architecture design. So I will start by introducing myself. My name is Haifa Al Khalifa. I am the chairwoman of the Department of Architecture and Interior Design in the College of Engineering at the University of Bahrain. In our department, we have 3 programs, which is architecture, interior design, and landscape architecture. I am the first female as a chairwoman to head the department since it has been separated from the civil department.
That's amazing.
Yes, thank you. We have almost now more than 3,000 students in our department, and we have more than 40 full-time faculty members. And we are strive to make our programs by having the accreditation of the international agencies such as NAB, CEDA, and others to be recognized locally and regionally.
Okay.
Yes.
That's really good. Your Excellency, Dr. Sheikha Haifa, I wanted to ask you, as a chairwoman in the Department of Architecture and Interior Design, the College of Engineering, the University of Bahrain, we would like to know more about your role in inspiring youth to select those disciplines.
Well, since I started my position as a chairwoman, I emphasize the role of social media. I know that students, almost, and most of them, use Facebook, use Instagram or Twitter, and we wanted to create our page of the department in Instagram, and we want to show others and all the world our work and student projects. We created this page, and we had so many people who are engaged with us and who made some comments about student project or student, not only in design studios. I will give you an example. This semester, we had a course called Special Topics in Interior Design. Two of the instructors who are assigned to teach this course have selected the design, the concept of design thinking and innovation by asking the student to develop games inspired by the local culture. And students start to create these games also informed by the interior design pedagogy and the learning itself. So we created this games, and it attracted so many, and we start receiving orders from people to buy these games. And yes, and local newspaper wrote about it also. By doing this, we are engaging the industry, the public, by providing the platform to show our student work in Instagram or other social media. We are inspiring other students to join our department to see how active we are, how we are creating a new path, let's say, for the learning of interior design by engaging to the industry also.
Yeah, that's really good. And, this sense of achievement in a person is an amazing thing. What do you think those disciplines and those initiatives, what is their role in the person, for the person itself, and what do you think are the benefits that it would bring to the country as well as on a national level?
Well, as I said before, we are trying to make our program, especially the interior design, if I'm talking about only interior design, to be accredited by CEDA, which is the Council of Interior Design it is an American agency. It is very high profile agency. And if we are in the process to do this, and I also know that in the Royal College for Women are also trying to get the accreditation. Once we do that, and we are also trying to, as I said, to formalize, to make our work being known to others, we are trying to make the student who graduate from our program to be more into, to be familiar with the practice or the industry itself. And also, which is what we are doing now in our courses, we are engaging live case studies or live project for the studio design, and the students are in contact with the industry and the firms. So students are aware and informed about the practice. Our mission is to build the student with the personality of or their own taste of design or their character for as interior designer, and also to be ready to be hired in the market.
Okay. No, that's really nice. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think we're gonna go to other speakers and then maybe come back for all of us to have a discussion together. Thank you very much for your time. Now, I would like to move to Dr. Mona Suri to go back to you. If you can do your presentation as promised, it's the floor is.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sara, and thank you, Her Excellency Sheikha Haifa. I think we have been working together with the University of Bahrain, and I feel that they are our role models in terms of whatever they are doing in education in general, and especially the design college, So I mean, with her, we have been part of various committees and other things. It's a pleasure to have you with us here, Sheikha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Shukran. So I just wanted to bring back, briefly, I just want to talk about the fashion aspects, because I think the fact that we are the only university in Bahrain which is offering fashion design as a degree program. So I just want to highlight that what is the structure primarily, what is happening in the fashion industry, and what are we doing in that particular direction. So as I was talking that, we start with a smaller thing, which is like a fashion design, but we realize that over a period of time, there are various other aspects that have got added on to the fashion design per se to make it like a bigger industry. And this wider fashion industry, in that wider part, fashion design is actually only a small part of it. And we need to understand that very well right now, right here. We realize that the technical knowledge which the student needs in terms of fabrics is very, very critical. Because whenever we are talking about the fashion industry, the kind of fabrics, the kind of finishes, how fabrics are going to behave, how they fall, how they can be stitched, their comfort properties, their performance properties. I mean, a designer or anybody who is in the fashion industry must know about these kind of things, and it makes a lot of difference. Again, we have to see that, the design of the fabric in a technical term is also very critical, because when we are talking, whether you have a woven fabric or a knitted fabric or a lace or non-woven, again, their behavior is going to be different. So anyone who's working in this area must know about that. And again, the design could also be an applied design, could be a structural design. So we have loads of, designs which are now available through embroidery, through dyeing, through printing, embellishments. So, I mean, all these things also need to be added in the fashion education as we are talking about it. Designing of the garment is important in terms of the silhouettes, in terms of colors, textures, and obviously they are part of what we are doing at the moment. The garment construction methods also have come a long way, starting from a simple sewing machine. Now we have all these industrial machines which are available. So one should know that what are the kind of possibilities which are available, technologically, that one can explore and use in designing and in the fashion industry. And
That's
also
right.
the computer aided design that we have in terms of CAD CAM, whether it is computer aided manufacturing or designing, is again something we have to understand that, this is like an added feature. I think one more thing that has changed in the fashion industry is the globalization of fashion. So unlike when we were earlier, like a smaller unit, somebody for a local production, now we have a complete supply chain that we need to understand that how the overall structure of the fashion industry has changed. So from sourcing of the fabrics to designing, to sampling, to pattern making, to production, packaging, shipments, sizing, I think there is a huge, items which are available that one should be aware of and one should learn in order to make sure that how we can make most of it. And I think all of us are available. The kind of fashion seasons are there, the kind of fashion fairs are there. We have different variety of garments, couture to, ready to wear, to luxury brands. We have categories for men, women, sports. I mean, so if you look at it in general, there is such a huge amount of, untapped market and the tapped market which is there that we need to understand. With these, excuse me, with these positive things, there is also something that we have to be aware of, which is about, the globalization and modernization has somehow affected the crafts, the traditional crafts of various places, So some of these crafts are dying. So maybe what artisans were creating as a design now is being mass produced. What was the unique cultural form of a certain area has now become an international style. So I think this has led to some kind of a disruption in the feeling of heritage, of legacy, of identity That again, we need to see that as responsible fashion professionals, how exactly we are going to take care of that. Again, another aspect which is gaining a lot of importance is fashion and environment. I mean, we need to have, a design thinking, as Dr. Haifa talked about it, that it is important to understand that fashion industry actually is one of the most second largest, polluting industry, which we have in the world. And obviously, if you are talking about fibers, the natural fibers, how they grow and the pesticides are used. When we talk of synthetic fibers, which are non-biodegradable, we talk of dyeing and finishing, which is creating a lot of water and air pollution. We have overproduction, because we have so much of fabrics and garments which are available that after their use time is done, what do we do with them? We have to dump them in some, like landfills and incinerators and things like that. So all these things also have an impact on us as individuals, and we need to talk about it. And that is the reason why sustainable fashion has come a big way, and we'll talk about it slightly later. Also, the new innovations which are happening at the moment in terms of fibers, fabrics, processing, it's actually very tough to keep pace with all these things. We have smart textiles, we have e-textiles, we have organic fabrics, we have antibacterial fabrics, we have naturally colored cottons. So I mean, as a design professional, as a fashion professional, I must be aware of all these things which are happening around me. And if that was not enough, we have COVID. And because of COVID, there is another aspect that has got added, at least for us as educational institution. We have to understand that how are we going to take care of our fashion education in higher education institutions through online medium and other things. We are looking for various, digital design softwares. We are looking at 3D softwares which can have virtual garments. We are looking at virtual platforms, virtual portfolios. So Red Carpet, what you are doing is a virtual platform where fashion show is happening. So I think all these things are very, very critical, Now, based on all this, what is happening in the industry, what we are doing at RUW, Royal University for Women, is important. Because as I said, we are the only college offering this program, a degree program in fashion design. So what is unique to what we are doing? First of all, we cannot, cover all the things that I have talked about, but we want our fashion students to be aware of what is happening around them. That is the reason why we have courses which are related to design thinking. So we have our foundation program where we have researching, reflecting, recording, they create concepts, create designs, conceptualize things, which is primarily talking about their design thinking. We have courses related to technical knowledge like fabrics, patterns, draping, handling of fabrics, which is again something very, very important. We want our students to understand that they have to be rooted to their own cultures and heritage, which we have a very, very rich, culture around us in the region that we have to understand, that we have to take it to the world. And that is the reason why we have added courses like history of art. We have courses of like Islamic art, Middle East fashion. And again, while the students are studying these courses, they are actually trying to build an identity for themselves, which defines them as somebody different from what any other person is. We also have, like aspects of fashion with a purpose or fashion with a function, So we are doing projects with various other organizations around. Like, for example, we had done a project with Bahrain Petroleum Company, where we designed the clothes, the work clothes for the workers who are working in the refinery. And while we were doing that, we also designed clothing for women if they decide to work in those places or in petrol stations, etc. We are providing our students with platforms to showcase their talent. And that is the reason why we have fashion shows and events. We have good linkage with industry, with embassies. So we have been in touch with the American embassy, the British Council, Malaysian embassy, Indonesian embassy, and we are bringing artisans from different countries to RUW. And at the same time, we are taking our students for various educational trips to make sure that they actually see what is there in the world, Yani. So that's important. And lastly, I just want to highlight the business part of the whole fashion. So we are actually teaching our students about the entrepreneurship. We have it as a course. We have design management, introduction to design management as a course. We also have a master's that we are offering at our university. We make sure that our students are participating in various competitions. And just last week only, our team, Kosh Solutions actually won the best, the social impact award for Injas. And we are very proud because what they had done was that they had taken the e-waste, which is the CDs and other things, and converted them into jewelry and, thereby, recycling and reusing that kind of a thing. And lastly, we are in touch with Fashion Incubator, Bahrain Fashion Incubator. We are showcasing ourselves at various places. I don't want to continue further, and maybe we have more, questions. Which
We're
are
eager
there.
to see the presentation, to be honest.
So if
you have some nice photos there.
Yes. So I just want to, share with you something related to that.
It was very interesting. We really appreciate what our University of Women is bringing to the students.
Yes. So can you see the presentation?
You have the admin already?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think. Can you see the presentation?
Not yet. No.
Just a second, please. I just need to have the connect, like the admin thing. Sorry. 1 second. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So can you all see?
Okay. I think it's on its way. Yes.
Loading? Yes. Okay. Very good. So as I said, Royal University for Women, we are leading the way. And this is the annual fashion show, as I was talking about, Moda Mist, where actually, these are some of the jalabiyas which are prepared, which are designed by our students, and we were showcasing them and various other dresses. We also, participate in the Bahrain skills competition. And in the national competitions, we won actually the gold, silver, and bronze, all 3 medals. And in the GCC competition in 2016, we actually, got a bronze medal. Some of our students actually participated in the Recycle Runway competition in Dubai 2016. So again, as I said, we are providing them with these kind of platforms where they can showcase their work. We also, organized a fashion show together with Lulu Hypermarket, and we had done this on the occasion of International Women's Day in 2017, where again our students were showcasing their work. We were part of the Bahrain International Design Week in 2019. And as you can see that we had good press coverage, and of course the designs which the students had prepared were something which everybody appreciated. This is the BAPCO project that I was talking about, where we actually had these garments which were like, the clothing which was more in terms of, modest clothing for women if they decide to work in this kind of an industry where normally you have all coveralls and things like that. So we try to make them, and especially, with the shalas and things which we try to make in a way that they can, these are the colors, the branding of BAPCO, but at the same time, we did it in a different way.
Fashionable.
Yes, fashionable. And then very recently, we had done our fashion show, with the Malaysian embassy, primarily to celebrate their 45th anniversary of Malaysia and Bahrain diplomatic relations. And these are some of the garments we had showcased at that point of time. I just want to say last 4 slides, Yani, which is about the success stories that I'm really proud of. Miss Arij Al-Sheikh is our recent graduate from 2019. She's just graduated. She always wanted to be a fashion designer, and she's actually started her own brand as Arij Al-Sheikh, and she depicts strong, modern, and independent women. So you can see these collections, what she has in terms of what she created for her projects and, for her brand. But again, this is the contemporary part of what she is doing, but she's not forgotten her roots, which I'm again very proud of, that she's tried to put all these, with the jalabiyas, she looked at the motifs which were traditional, embroideries which are there, and she has put them in a very contemporary way. I have another success story in terms of Aisha Abdul Malik. She is a jewelry designer, and she has her own brand called Aisha Jewels. Now, she started her brand actually in Bahrain when she was 17 years of age, and she joined our university later on because she wanted to do something more, and she wanted to understand, the knowledge and skills which are required to do fashion design. And she has won many competitions and things like that. The most prestigious one was the Kingdom's Best Micro Company Award from His Royal Highness the Crown Prince in 2018. So these are some of her design pieces that she has created, and she's using all the precious stones, and she's setting them in a way that they look delicate, but at the same time, they're nice. And, she has a lot of collection with these precious stones, and also with Bahraini pearls, which are again something which is very, very intricate and very traditional. The third, success story I want to highlight is Miss Haya Khalifa. She's a fashion designer. She actually started with her mother, as in a couture brand, but of late she's starting her own brand because she wants it to be totally sustainable, and she wants to create a fashion in a sustainable, prosperous way which is in harmony with the environment. And I'm very proud of the fact that she was, I think, the first Bahraini woman who actually went and she had her fashion show on Eiffel Tower, you know. So this is something we are absolutely proud of. So when you look at, you know, the way these girls are flourishing, I mean, as a university, we feel very proud. We are very, very proud of their achievements. And we feel that somehow we have empowered them in a way that they are able to make a mark on their own. Now, when I talk about the way forward, I think it's important for us to see that we have to see that whatever are the changing trends in fashion education, I think all educational institutions must keep pace with that. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Muna. It was really inspiring. It's so nice. And I'm thinking of seeing your students reaching those places. I think it's an amazing feeling. I would like to go back before moving on to our international speakers. I'd like to move back to Her Excellency Dr. Sheikha Haifa. If I can ask you a couple of questions more. As your experience as a chairwoman, I want to know, how do you inspire students by art itself? And how can this inspiration be extended to beyond students as well?
Well, we inspire students by art through the learning process itself, through the courses, curriculums, and the project briefs. We are, say, for example, if we have, I'm giving an example from the studio design courses, because these courses are the courses that we usually introduce the project to the student and ask them to design it. So in this design courses, we ask students first to research about the project that's been introduced to them. And through the research, they will investigate the art behind the subject itself. They will also, sometimes, for example, we will ask them to select an architect or famous interior designer and study their vision and philosophy in design, and then to be inspired by them. And through this, they will be using the knowledge to design their project. So by exposing the student to this field of art, we are trying to also make the process, as I said, incorporated in the learning itself with art, not only interior design, even in architecture. So we are trying to do this with the student all the time.
So what are, you know, we've talked about art, interior design, and fashion. What are the similarities between them? And how can new women generations utilize all those three for a career path in lifetime?
Well, I believe the three fields, the three disciplines, which is the interior design, fashion, or art, all share the same approach when it comes to think of design itself, when to learn the design thinking as a concept. Students will be, as I said, will be asked or required through the education of this program to be engaged with the design through different paths. For example, in our program, we have some courses that is more has the freedom to choose some different, or something that is not really related, for example, interior design. Some of these courses, as one of the elective courses we have in interior design, students were being asked to design some jewelries and some, some accessories. So we are trying to expose students to many fields that, if they graduated from the program, they will have more opportunities as a career, to choose from. They are not necessary to be interior designer. They might be hired as maybe a photographer, or maybe a jewelry designer, or maybe even a fashion designer. So the design itself is the foundation for the three programs.
Of course. So expanding their horizons, I think this is the best way to go. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your insights.
Thank you so much.
If you allow me now, I would like to move to our next plenarist, which is the Professor Alessandro from Italy. It's so nice to have you here with us, Professor.
Hello, everybody. My pleasure.
Hello.
So I will briefly introduce myself.
Yes, please.
Thanks for hosting me. This event looks really excellent. And the topic is not only super interesting, but is so much in line with what I've been doing in the past 20 years. So let me briefly introduce myself to explain the reason why I'm here. Looks like I'm the only man in the room. Not disappointed. I'm even proud of that. I teach at Politecnico di Milano since 24 years now. My focus, Polytechnic is a technical university. So we're not speaking about fashion. We are speaking about managing the supply chain. But as you know, fashion and luxury have part of their origins in Italy and their heritage is in Italy. After 9/11, I had the terrorist attack in the United States that brought to a major financial crisis in Europe also. My boss at the time was very, pessimistic, and he was thinking that all the industrial activities in Italy would close down. It was totally negative, and say, what are we going to teach in the future? And I believe so much in students' entrepreneurship. I believe so much in reconstructing a country every time we have a crisis. Because after the crisis of 2001, we had the crisis of 2008 and 9, and then we have the COVID now.
Exactly.
And God knows, I mean, we can have other crises in the future, but I think that the right perspective is to always be optimistic. And I told to my boss, look, in Italy, we have the most precious value chain in the world. It's the value chain of the luxury goods. Do you think that Ferrari will ever move the production to China? There's no point. What about the leather industry in Florence, the shoemaking? We have this heritage and we need to study it if we want to transfer to our students. So I am part of the School of Management, which, by the way, is one of the schools in the university in which diversity and inclusion is practiced the most. We are almost reaching gender equality in the faculty, in the PhD students, and that's an achievement. Maybe it's also because of the topic, because if you go to mechanical engineering, mainly is still more male dominated. But when you speak about management, I think there is no sex orientation in management. Every one of us can have the inclination of lead a family-owned business or even launch a new venture. For a number of years, we have been counting the number of students that actually launched their own companies after graduating at the university and the number of job positions they have been created. Hundreds and counting, and we are so happy about that. So I started focusing on the luxury sector. And I started focusing on the luxury sector by introducing first a local master, then we launched an international master, then we launched a third master, which is up and running now and is dedicated to Indian students. I got a master that is only taught in India and in Europe. Basically, these students are following the first semester in Mumbai, then they come to Europe, where we do a fantastic study tour. We visit Italy with cars and leather goods and wines, and then we move to France, where in Paris you have fragrances, you have haute couture. Then we move to Switzerland to visit the watchmaking industry, and Germany, where there are other sports cars and so on and so forth. And it's fascinating to see the power of offering to the students a hands-on experience. Basically, you can tell a beautiful story when you are in a classroom. You can be a professor that is maybe very energetic, but there's nothing like having people visiting the shop floor. would you imagine, I don't know, just an example, there are many, but visiting a watch manufacturer in Switzerland, and you see many people working on the tiny little details, and at the end of the tour, one guy exits from the department and say, Sarah, Dr. Mona, do you want to try assembly a watch yourself? Take a seat.
Wow.
They let you
Yes.
take a seat, they give you the screwdriver, the magnifying lens, and they tell you exactly what you do, 2, 3, 4 passages. And then you have the object in your hands, maybe they are shaking, but you feel proud for what you accomplished.
Yeah.
And this, I think, is my mission. I am not a technical guy. I'm creating the bridge, I'm creating the connection. For this reason, we also are attempting, I know there's COVID, but sooner or later it will be over, to introduce executive training in luxury management in the MENA region also. At the moment, I'm partnering with the University of Wollongong, Dubai, to launch an executive master, which will launch in Dubai in October, and the participants will have the opportunity to study the theory and also the retail practice in the MENA region, but then the supply chain when they come to Europe. And this thing of the study tour, I think, is a heritage in Italy that nobody can copy. Exactly like when you say we introduced an artisanal, traditional design, creating the connection between the designer and the loom, the textile manufacturer, going back to the past archives, you create something that cannot be copied in any other country in the world. And I think we have the big responsibility of teaching this every single day. And you know, let me share a second thing that I do, and second reason why I'm here, second reason why I'm traveling very often to your beautiful region, even though I never visited so far Bahrain, but I'm surely will do when possible.
Please do.
The first student who asked me to start a company together 10 years ago was actually a boy. He wanted me to be a consultant, and he wanted to create perfumes. And I told him, his name is Ricardo. Ricardo, I can help you more than willingly, but not as a consultant. If you want to do a company, we need to be partner. And we created a company. We are the 2 artistic directors, and we are 2 male. But this year, for the 10th anniversary of my company, we made something that is so much in line with what we are discussing right now. You know that behind every fragrance, there's a perfumer, a nose creating the fragrance. But you know that very often when you buy a fragrance, you don't know who created it. And that's weird. It's like buying a book.
Knowing the author.
And not knowing the name of the author, which is totally weird. So we celebrate, we recognize, we give visibility to the author of our perfumes. And in order to celebrate the 10th anniversary of my company, we create a fragrance line, which will be created only by female perfumers. Every single fragrance will have a lady behind the creation, and the name of the fragrance will be the name of a lady, and the kind of target of the fragrance will be a lady. And it's just by chance, but I mean, you know, things never happen by chance. The first fragrance we created, the name was Petra, and my partner in UAE asked me to write in Arab. I don't even know how to read it, but I think you can read the name of the fragrance is Petra, and the name of the lady who created the fragrance is Cécile Zarokian. This was another men-dominated industry, I don't know why, for like 50 years. And I want to give you my small contribution to make the fragrance industry a female-dominated industry. Because I must admit that women have more sensibility than women have, not only for fragrances, but for fragrances for sure. And so I'm basically only, you know, creating the platform to empower all this. And I'm sure we can do the same with sports cars, with jewels, with travels and destination, with spa, with food. There are so many sectors in which together we can make this happen. So thank you so much for inviting me. I think, and I hope this is only, you know, a way today to know each other, because there's so much to do. There's so much to do in this area. And so pray, let us keep in touch and let us launch programs and initiatives, because there's so much need about this.
Yes, that's so true. Thank you very much, Professor Alessandro. That was a very comprehensive and I think really inspiring to hear that. And you are right, we should do something, and this should be only the start of something nice, because I know the fashion industry is blooming and it will never die, no matter how many catastrophes we have or anything that the world is going through. We will always recover and come back strongly, more, inshallah. Professor Isan, I would like to now move to our last but not least speaker, Miss Dayon Morato, and she is of course the founder and CEO of Zori's Only. And I would like to welcome you here.
Hafide from Guam. Thank you so much for having me. And it's an honor to be here with Excellency. Also, thank you for hosting this and coordinating this great forum. I have, through my career, learned to be a huge advocate for women and supporting women in business and entrepreneurship. And so I'll just give you a little more on my background. I don't come from the institution of education necessarily, but interestingly, I actually wanted to be an architect / interior designer when I was going to college. But my college at the time, or actually they don't have an architecture school. And so that's why I studied art and architectural history, planning to then continue to architectural school. But in that time after college, when I came back to Guam to visit my parents, ended up kind of exploring graphic design, and that's sort of where my career started. So, you know, I really liked the question that Sarah posed to you about how do all these different disciplines, architecture, interior design, fashion, what do they all have in common? And it's really just that creativity, right? And the way of thinking, and like taking all the different ideas of the world and your imagination and then putting them into something tangible. So my career started out with graphic design, as I said, and developed into marketing. And because I just kind of wanted to do more, because with graphic design, when you're starting out, you're just sitting behind a computer, following direction, building ads. And I really wanted to be more in the collaboration and the management side. So my career started off in that, and I was doing that for 15 to 20 years. But at some point, I knew that I wanted to be my own boss and start my own business. And I finally figured out with a group of people, with a long story short, decided as a project to do a greeting card company. Actually, it was just a small project, but growing up on Guam, even though we're a US territory, we're a very small island in the middle of the Pacific, closer to Asia than we are to the United States. And so we put together this very kind of witty, creative, unique illustrations that encompassed our island life and our idiosyncrasies. And from there, it just grew into cards, postcards, and then branching out into clothing. And during that whole time, my graphic design skills came in so handy. And just like the professor was also saying, you know, you really need to diversify, right? So it's great that you teach in your classes and to your students about, you know, whether it's, even if they're studying architecture or interior design, let's dabble in jewelry or do something else, so that because, you know, in this world, you really, you know, sometimes one industry might find some economic or financial hardship, or depending on what crisis comes along, and you're just going to have to be resilient and move along to the next.
Plan B, basically.
Yeah. With my career doing this local brand, I was immersed in women in business networks and going out and promoting my brand and meeting other entrepreneurs and small business owners and startups. And I feel like that's just so valuable. I mean, the time I spend, I mean, I also enjoy that, but it's an effort to always go out to meetings and events and to network. But over those years, even though I just felt like it was just something to help my brand and my company, it ended up really blossoming organically into then being invited, after doing collaboration with our University of Guam. Actually, I was invited by one of the deans to do a collaboration for Christmas, having students design Christmas cards. And I was a sponsor. I kind of donated the printing of all the cards, and then the kids learned to sell them at their schools to fundraise for their classes. And from there, I was invited to become one of the founding board members to start the very first Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. For many years. I think the Guam Chamber of Commerce has been around for maybe almost 100, or I don't know, like really long, like 75 years. But it's always been very male dominated. The big corporations had the most influence and voting power, because depending on your revenue, you got a certain amount of votes. And so it was always very dominated. And the women in business, you know, I think we all can admit and recognize that women in business, you know, were behind because of just the way history has been, right? Like Professor Alessandra was saying, why aren't women more in the fields of luxury brands or perfume? And well, it's because of the history. We haven't had that advantage. We weren't in those positions to do it. And so right now we're kind of catching up, and luckily our male counterparts are supporting us, and they see the value that we bring to the table. And so that's really important to have advocates, you know, on our male counterpart side. And so the women who wanted to start the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce felt like women just need a separate voice, right? We have different needs and support, specialized support or needs that that would require having our own separate chamber. And we did actually get a lot of pushback when we were trying to form it. They, you know, feeling like it was, why are we dividing up our island? It's so small. But now here we are, I think 7 years later, and it's been such a huge force. Through the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, you know, all the women who started it out always felt like we want to uplift each other. We are not here to compete. We want to always support. If someone else's success, we want to push for them. And then also when we help promote each other's services and businesses, and just really create that security amongst ourselves to you know, push each other forward. And it's been so great. And, you know, and then every board that passes on and the different members that come along, you know, we really try to make sure that that same message is always carried forward. And it's taken me to many different, given me many more opportunities, I feel like. And so I hope that women, you know, all around the world, you know, no matter how small of an island or, you know, whatever your upbringing may be. You know, my parents moved to Guam from Korea when I was 1 year old, and, you know, just starting out, you know, in a new place, not even barely understanding the language, but they were able to do it, and you teach, you know, by example. And so I really hope, you know, I mean, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to elaborate on anything else, but I just really want to keep encouraging women to just go for it and to support each other, especially.
Thank you. Ms. Nain, since we're here with you, I do have a question from one of our participants. He says, or she says, Nidhi, sorry, she says, you mentioned resilience is important. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, resilience on many different levels. Especially as an entrepreneur, I've learned, and also from my husband, who is a business owner, and my father, who was you know, he started his own construction business. And what I've learned over the years, meeting other business owners and startups, entrepreneurs, it is an up and down process. You fail, you get back up, you have successes, and then those successes, you can't sit on your laurels. Things will constantly change. You'll never have a perfect system of doing something, because once you have a smooth operation, something is going to happen. Competition might come along, or you might come into some sort of financial hardship, and you just have to really have passion for what you're doing and believing it. Don't only do it for money or for the quick success. When they do say passion, I know it can be very cliche, but that is what is going to get you through the hard times. Just like even in a marriage, right? You're going to run into issues a few years down the line after your honeymoon, or after even 5 years of marriage, but then after kids or some situation, you really have to have that foundation. Otherwise, you'll give up very easily. And so resiliency in that sense, and then also just as times change and you have to diversify. I mean, look at what's going on with COVID-19. I mean, businesses are having to rethink their whole business model and figure out how are we going to get new sources of revenue. Our government locally has to think about new sources of revenue because we depend on tourism so much. And right now that's completely shut down. I'm also on the board of directors at our international airport. And, of course, that is affected because airlines aren't traveling. And so we now also need to think about how are we going to generate new sources of revenue. We can't just depend on the tourists and the flights and the fees we get from airlines. Now maybe we'll have pilot training coming in. I mean, all sorts of things. Rethink our retail space. So lots of things to think about, but it's fun.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure. Thank you, Ms. Doyne. Now I would like to go back to all of you. Of course, thank you very much for all your inputs. I have a question of, you've talked about, let's say, sustainability and being resilient. I wanted to ask Her Excellency Dr. Sheikha Haifa about women in specific in those areas or those studies. What do you think is the major obstacle that they believe they face or they will face in their career paths later on that might hold them back from being maybe entrepreneurs or working in something that they would have a passion on? Because I know a lot of women or a lot of people, but women in specific, they tend to be more afraid of being an entrepreneur. So do you face that and how do you solve it for them?
Well, we have some graduates from our programs who have created their own businesses. We have Fatima Al-Ansari, who is a graduate from interior design program. She is a very famous interior designer and she is very successful. We have also others, students who graduated from architecture also program and been working in famous or very successful also architecture firms. For females, I think it is about providing the right opportunity for them, whether it is financial support or a platform to market their work. Also, I think, to be honest, it is now recently, in the recent years, more easily, or it was more facilitated by the government, providing the entrepreneurs with the financial aid. I believe it's also about the entrepreneurs themselves to create their own vision and market plan and how to market themselves in the industry. It is highly competitive market, and to have their own, let's say, brand or influence in the market, it will need a lot of effort, and it will need to be for them to be engaged more with others, especially let's say the existed firms, or to create their own clients. So it's actually bring me to the idea of having, I think it is really important to have the entrepreneur courses being included in the curriculum for all design programs. We need to construct, let's say, the knowledge of how to create your own businesses for the student who are not really looking to be hired, let's say, after they graduated. They want to have their own businesses. So they might have, this is the chances that we can offer for the students.
Yeah, that is definitely a great idea. And within this context, I have a question for Professor Alessandro. The question says, how do sustainability and luxury markets go hand in hand?
Okay, it is my personal philosophy, shared by some of the researchers in the area, but not by all of them, that real luxury is quintessentially sustainable and responsible. And I think the example of the watches that I was just showing to you half an hour ago is an example. I've got a little 3 years old boy. He's always looking at my watches. He's calling them TikTok. Show me your TikTok. And he knows that 20, 30 years down the road, my TikToks will be his. So when you buy a real luxury object, it's not consumerism. This year, with the good quality garment that I got myself 1 year ago, and with the COVID, I didn't need to buy anything new. And I didn't even feel the need of buying something new. This is the exact opposite of fast fashion that is forcing you into buying a $3 t-shirt, a $5 hoodie, and you wonder, how could they manufacture and sell a garment for that amount of money? From Japan, I discovered the fantastic art of kintsugi. Kintsugi means repairing broken pottery with gold. And my old father is about to pass away, and he's giving me the heritage of some very old things that he had inherited from the family. Today we live in a mindset in which if you break a pottery, it's faster to buy a new one than to repair. But when you have something donated by your parents, maybe passed away, you don't want to lose them. It could be a garment, it could be anything. So once again, we need to transfer this to the younger generation. How hard it was for our parents to make the money they made, to buy or to give us what they gave us. And this is what I want to teach, first of all, to my children, and then to my students. With that kind of attitude, they will always respect people that are doing things. Second point, luxury goods, even if the luxury industry is growing, will never be manufactured on a large scale. There will always be human hands behind the creation of an object. So it is my philosophy, something that I cannot demonstrate from the scientific point of view, but it is my philosophy that any luxury object, even, I don't know, a leather wallet, has a soul. How do you put soul in an object if not by having human hands creating the object? So I was the first one to learn how to saddle stitch the leather, to learn how to design a jewel. Otherwise, you cannot sell this to the market. And I think that the more you leave the objects and the values of the objects that you want to sell, the more you understand. I want to have students falling in love with the product, first of all, and then pursuing a business. Also pursuing, a making money goal, which is not evil, but is not per se, it's because you love what you are doing. And that is sustainability in 2020, in my opinion, which naturally will become green, ethical, sustainable, without waste, and etc.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Alessandro.
I just wanted to add something to what Professor Alessandro is talking
about. Sure, and then I'm going to ask you a question. I have a saying in mind. I want to know what you think of it.
Sure. But I just wanted to add what he's talking about, the fact that, when we have these garments and we are recycling and reusing, I think the values which are there and the feelings that people have with those garments is amazing, I think now, especially for the wedding trousseau, this is something which is actually a very in thing that, the brides would like to wear something which their mothers had worn. But of course, they remodel it in a way that it is more contemporary and this, but they somehow feel that the blessings are there with them when they wear that kind of a garment. So I think what he's talking is, it's beautifully said that, we have to understand that we only need this much, I mean, and maybe the COVID situation has opened our eyes to the fact about all these materialistic approach that we were having. Somehow it has grounded us to the fact that ultimately we just need this much. It may not be that good for the fashion industry per se, but I'm sure, like things will evolve and they'll change and they will come out with some newer ideas, So fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Mana, there's, since, I mean, I know you're involved with a lot of students and a lot of them have many different tastes. There's a saying that, I'm not sure what it is exactly in Arabic, but it means that you should eat whatever you want, but you should wear whatever people want.
Yes, yes.
Of that. And how do students differentiate their ideas into their work? Do they design what they want, or do they design what people want?
Actually, that's a very interesting question, and you realize that this is the way the students actually mature. And like I have seen this in my career of 31 years, that when students start designing in year 1, they are actually designing something that they want to wear and they want to design and what they like. But it is over a period of time when they get aware of the fact that we are talking about a business venture, and whatever we are going to produce is something to be sold, or for money or something like that, and my clients are important. So then suddenly this whole shift starts to happen, where they start creating the design briefs based on what the clients want. They look at their tastes and values and the budgets and things like that. So as Dr. Haifa also talked about it, that whether it is interior, whether it is fashion, graphic, I mean, this is the transition that happens in students over a period of time, and that is when they actually become like a businesswoman, from that perspective, that they want to produce goods that can be sold. And that is, I think, very, very important. And you see this shift, as students are maturing from the year 1 till their graduation projects,
Yeah, because I always have that question in mind, because if whether you're a makeup artist, whether you're a designer, anything, have a passion of something, even if you're a chef, sometimes you want to do what you want, but you have to please your customers as well. So I think
they have to
balance it really well.
Yeah, you have to differentiate between your personal choices and your clients' needs, and then that's how things progress. Yeah.
Exactly. I have a question for Ms. Doyne as well. We're emphasizing the importance of studies when it comes to the fashion industry. From your experience, do you think you would have achieved what you have if you hadn't studied architecture? What do you think is the importance of studies when it comes to actual designing and selling?
I think there's of course, a lot of value to getting the education and the training, right? So whether you get it, at an institution, or sometimes maybe you get it on the job, but learning it in an institution, I feel like the advantage is it's structured. They'll teach you the theories and standards, and you get that foundation. And then when you go out into the real world, then you can apply the practical application to that, or vice versa, right? So I think either way, it's similar to being a startup business owner, entrepreneur, or working in a corporate structure. There are advantages to both. Corporate, you do things very, very structured in that corporate dynamic, and as an entrepreneur, you're making things up as you go along sometimes. Mm-hmm. But so there are good things to learn from both. And so I think either way, I mean, for me, I actually learned graphic design on the job. I dabbled in it. You know, they gave me, I started at the newspaper doing, you know, small ads, and they just had me go on the computer and do some things. I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess you can do it. So I started there, and with less than a year, someone I knew who had started an advertising agency asked me to come in and, you know, try to apply for a job. And they kind of gave me sort of like a skill test and also creativity test. It was a different way of doing things. And yeah, I got the opportunity to work there and was trained on the job, learning it. But I definitely value the educational learning as well, because sometimes, you know, it is good to have it taught in a structured way.
Well, Ms. Doyne, I also wanted to ask you about the marketing aspect, as there are a lot of things in the world. People do tons of things, but if you don't market it well, then you might not reach to where you wanted. So what do you think is the importance of marketing? And nowadays, what are the best ways to do that?
Well, marketing, as you know, with social media has really progressed. And for me, that's actually kind of new. I'm one of those, I'm not really that interested in, you know, doing Instagram and Twitter. I'm not on those platforms. My husband, who's the last person who would ever be a social media guy, is the one that actually has championed that arm for me with Stories Only. And so with branding and marketing, of course, the core is you really need to get your branding, your image down. And so for us, we really wanted to focus it on it started out as sort of a Guam, Mariana Island centric brand. But as we grew, we realized we need to broaden our audience, right? We want this to be a global brand. So we changed it to be an island lifestyle brand.
Okay.
And also what I've learned over the years is when you share your story and make it personal, because you know you'll come across brands all over the internet and on social media, and it's hard to connect. And why would you choose that one over the next million? And so if you do have a story, and with social media, it gives you the opportunity. And I haven't done it enough yet, but social media makes it so much more affordable for you to put your name and your story out there. So with blogs or, you know, your video tutorials or whatever you want to give out to your audience. And so that's what I've learned. And also to give more than what you expect to receive. Okay. And so don't always just keep pushing your product, but like if you have a Facebook or Instagram page, share things, free things, advice, tutorials, information, fun facts that your customer or even potential customer are going to enjoy, and you know the benefits will come back in many other ways.
That's nice. Thank you very much. Professor Alessandro, I wanted to ask you about your role, maybe as a professor in empowering women in your courses. Do you see, is there, we talked about how, for example, the perfumes were, or a lot of areas, luxury goods were more male dominated, and now they're actually coming almost equal. So what do you think of that? And how do you empower women, other than, of course, your amazing, brilliant idea on the perfumes?
Well, to be quite frank, because I think this is an open enough discussion, this is not easy. And it's not easy because for some reason, you might start from an audience that is not totally balanced. For instance, in the younger years at engineering, we have more males than females sitting in the classroom. And it's totally normal every time you address a group of people to find imbalances and to find minorities. If sometimes I say, I want, I don't know, maybe let's do a students competition and I want only 2 of you to do the presentation. And I necessarily want a woman and I want a man. an Italian and a foreigner or whatever else, it's like if I were discriminating at the contrary. I don't know if you get this point of discriminating at the contrary.
Yeah.
What happens
like
if
you're forcing it? Yeah.
Yes. What happens if my company in the board, you have men, female? Why? Oh, we need a female. And everybody will look at her and thinking, why are you sitting here? Because you are talented, because you worked hard, or because they needed a woman,
a female. Exactly.
You see the point? So whenever I'm approaching students and I'm asking them to work in groups, to deliver to the company presentations, to even give me the brief and bring to a venture capital to try to get fundings, I try to pretend not to see who they are, where they're coming from, and to give to everybody the same opportunity and possibility.
Exactly.
To be honest, as a professor, this is, I think, the best we can do, motivating and trying to be impartial all the time.
For all.
It's not always easy, but it's something we also are learning with an even more diverse audience. Every year I've got more countries represented, more religions represented, more sexual orientations represented in my class. And this is has never arrested the students from working together and make powerful and brilliant jobs.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I know I am taking much of your time, but I do have a lot of questions in mind. I wanted to ask Dr. Muna, I know you guys organize the yearly fashion show, and you also participate in a lot of exhibitions, because I remember in the opening of the Royal Hospital for Women, you also participated in the fashion show there, and I was hosting it, so I remember. I wanted to ask you, in those fashion shows, since you teach not only design, do your students participate, or maybe let me rephrase, what do the students really participate in those fashion shows exactly? Is it just the designs, or do they help you in organizing?
No, actually, it depends, like, for example, when we have our annual fashion show that we call as Moda Mist, and we have already done almost 12 fashion shows till date because it's an annual feature. We have a course in our curriculum which is about catwalk presentation, and while they are doing, one part of their final fashion show is of course their own collection. So right from the conceptualization of the garments and what collection they are making, accessorization and everything is part of their job which they have to do for their final project. In addition, they also do these courses like catwalk presentation, where they are looking at the choice of music. They also look at the layout, the kind of layout they will have in the auditorium for the catwalk and things like that, the runway. They also choose, like how they will manage the backstage. So, when we are teaching them these kind of skills in organizing a fashion show, they are looking at all aspects of organizing a show, even part of the graphic design that they are doing in terms of designing of the backdrops and the invitation cards, etc. So at one point of time, when you ask this question that how these three are related, so I think they are all pretty much together, because if you have a basic design thinking, you can implement it in any way you want. And because our students, the first year is common to all of them, they do have knowledge of fashion, interior and graphic. So when they are doing this kind of an event, they get a platform to showcase what they have learned. But sometimes when we are doing fashion shows outside RUW, for example, like when we did this fashion show for the Royal Bahrain Hospital, it was primarily our garments that we had showed, and we had, of course, the models which were hired from outside. It was more like a community outreach program that we had done for our fellow, organization, in a way that just as a goodwill gesture, But at other places, we want to showcase our students' work. That is the most important thing that we want to highlight. And as we are talking that when we talk about empowering women, when we want to make them feel that they can do it, and whatever they have done with passion can be showcased, I think we are giving them that kind of a platform to show the world that they can do some things with excellence.
Yeah, that is true. I would like to thank you all, and before we end, we'll wait to see if we have any more questions. In the meantime, I would like to show the videos of our sponsors once again to thank them, and then we're gonna get back to you, our dear speakers. We can I think this is the end of the videos. Of course, I would like to thank sponsors, Evo Motorsports, Lulu Hypermarket, Grazia. Those are our platinum sponsors. And our gold sponsors, Jumeirah, Royal Sarai, Mega Mart and Macromart. And of course, our silver sponsor, Centerpoint. Our dear speakers, before we leave you, of course, today's session was titled The Power of Education in Empowering Women in the Fields of Fashion, Arts, and Design. I would like to hear maybe an advice or something that you would like to say to all our participants or maybe the women out there within this field. And I would like to start with Your Excellency, Dr. Sheikha Hifa Al Khalifa.
Thank you, Mrs. Sarah, for the question. Yes, I think the best advice to give to female who are considering to join design programs, that always try to engage with the other, with the design industry before deciding to join the design program. Try to experience the process of being hired in a design firm first, maybe as a volunteer. and then to practice this, the process of designing project, or whether it is a fashion design or interior design, before joining the programs. Also, expand your horizon by, learn more about the design programs by reading and exploring the design itself, or the program, the different paths of design programs. I think we have now approved in our design programs in the University of Bahrain that most of our graduates are hired immediately in all the firms that been applied to. We have so many students who come back to us as speakers, and they share with us their experience. And so this is basically my advice for all female students who are freshly graduated from high school and thinking about joining the design programs. Study first the options, read about it, explore it before deciding.
Thank you. Thank you very much, your inspiring words. There is actually a question that it's either for the University of Bahrain or the Royal University for Women. The question says, is there any interior design courses for the moms who have limited time? What do you think, Dr. Muna? Would you have that in your...
Yeah, actually, we do have a system at the university that, in addition to the fact that you can join a 4-year program, which is like a full-time program, actually the mothers, if they want to join our university as audit student, so what they can do is they can choose certain courses that they would like to attend, which they feel they are interested in interior design. We do not evaluate them. I mean, there are no grades and assessments and things like that, but it is only the participation that can be there. So again, they can choose these courses that they feel are something close to their heart and they would like to follow, and it can be managed, They can also join us for our summer courses as an audit student, which is only 7 weeks if we offer something in interior. So I think there are options. They can come to us and we can discuss with them as to how it can be done. Sure.
Okay. Thank you very much. So your piece of advice, the same question I asked.
I think my piece of advice is that education is empowering, So as being an educationist, I think it is extremely important for women to be educated in whatever field they want to study in. Follow your passion. There's nothing that can stop you. I mean, there is no glass ceiling. It's only in your mind. This is my view, yani my personal view. Sky is the limit, but you have to show your passion and you really have to work hard on it. So there's no shortcut to success. Just work hard and I'm sure things are there. But definitely education is an enabler. And if you go to a good university, you get education which is of a certain quality, which is, making your holistic development is taking place. I think that is the best combination. Just do it, follow it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Muna. Professor Alessandro?
What can I repeat? Once upon a time, you needed money to enter into any business. Money was power. Today, knowledge is power. And with money, you cannot buy knowledge. So the advice is to start studying and study forever, study for a lifetime. I myself am a student in some topics that I still don't know, because of course, universal knowledge is something impossible. So find the right tutor, find the right mentor, and never stop learning in your life. That's my advice.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thanks for inviting me.
Ms. Doyne, if you have any last words or piece of advice for all our participants and women out there.
I would agree to do your research as much as you can before you venture out on your own and start your business. You talk to your friends, mentors, join, a women's chamber or women in business network groups where you can get influenced and get inspired by other business owners, attend workshops and conferences, because even if you walk away with a little bit of a nugget or a gem that's going to make you think differently or open your eyes up in a new way, it'll be worth it. And and definitely don't be shy to ask, you know, your mentors or people who are maybe they don't even have to be older. I've met so many younger women who have started their own businesses, and I learned so much more from them as well, because they're all, you know, tech savvy, and they're finding all these different apps and ways to do their business efficiently, where I don't have the time to look for all that. But yeah, I really feel like surround yourself with inspirational women and people who also want you to succeed, want the best for you. And then secondly, especially with people coming from a creative background, if they're anyone, they're kind of like me, you know, you're stronger on the creative side, maybe not as strong on the financial or the business side. And, you know, you're going to need to be able to manage that well if you're running your own business. And so whatever you can do to hone your skills and learn how to do that, or either that or bring in a partner that you trust that is good at it.
Okay, that is good advice. Well, thank you very much. Of course, I would like to note that we have the fashion show at 8 o'clock. Everybody can join in. And before we leave you, we have a couple of things before we leave you. Ms. Kopika Perry will say the closing notes, and then also Sheikha Noura wants to say a few words as well. Ms. Kopika?
Thank you very much, Sarah. I would like, yes, please. Thank you very much, Sarah. Can you hear me?
I believe we cannot hear you properly.
Yeah, it's cut off. I thought it might be my internet.
Can you hear me, Sarah?
I can hear you, but it's not good. There's, I think, a connection problem.
Yes. Can you hear me, Sarah?
Yes, now it's good. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes, it is. Go ahead. No, Ms. Kopika. If you allow me, since we have this connection problem, can we move over to Sheikh Noura Al Khalifa?
Yes, Sarah, thank you so much. And I would like to thank all the guests that we have here today.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I would like to address our guest section, whether moms can enter into any of the fashion programs. We at the Nain Training Center have a ministry.
I think she's muted, yes, but I think it's just getting to us now.
Gopika, I believe I will carry forward on your behalf. Since you have an internet problem, we cannot hear you properly. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Your Excellency Sheikh Aifa, Ms. Dion, and Ms. Sarah, and Professor, and Dr. Amuna. Thank you all for joining from all around. I believe this session is very important because people, when they have passion, they have to develop their passion with their education. Because sometimes when you love something, sometimes when you love something, it's not always passion is not the only thing that you need. Definitely you need education as well with it. So I would like to thank all the speakers, all the audience from all around the world. Thank you so much for joining and making our dream come true. Today, as an event management company, this is the dream that I always wanted to have an event which is international, and you guys made this dream come true, and to make dreams of a lot of entrepreneurs from Bahrain and from all around true. Today, the day of KSA Saudi Arabia fashion designer, all of them are amazing entrepreneurs that they wish one day to be international. And here together, we can make all of our dream come true. Please join us on YouTube for the fashion show. And one of the questions that one of the audience have asked, which is related to if moms can have a part-time courses on the Nine Training Center. I believe this is what Ms. Gobika wanted to say, so I would say on her behalf. On the Nine Training Center, we have one of the courses that is approved by Temkeen, inshallah, after the COVID-19, that they can definitely have the Italian secrets fashion industry, and they can learn how to sew and how to design based on the Italian structure. So thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for all the speakers and the audience. And inshallah, we're going to see you on live on YouTube at 8 p.m.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Everybody, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, to all our participants who are still here, don't forget to evaluate the session from this link that you see now. And as Her Excellency Sheikh Noura said, we'll see you, inshallah, in the fashion show at 8 o'clock. Thank you very much.
I'm in again. Use laptop.
But she's using from mobile.
Mobile. No, you can't always be sure about.
Yeah. Well, it's really open.
Let's go pick her. Okay. Do you want to speak, bro?
She called you, dear.
Hello? Hi, good evening. Yes, sir.